My name is Dr. Kirsten C. Kunkle. If you were going to ask me what it is that I do, and I were going to sum it up in one word, the word that I would use is musician. But I'm many more things than just a musician. I am a singer, I'm a composer, I'm a librettist, I'm a creator, I'm an advocate, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife. I'm a creator of many things that have nothing to do with music, and I'm a creator of many things that have everything to do with music. I'm an arts administrator, I'm a voice teacher, I'm even a piano teacher, and there are so many different facets of what I do that I couldn't even begin to sum them up in one short video. But when I think about what is most important to me in my career, it's not the doctorate, and it's not having sung roles that I've always wanted to sing. Those things are very important, and they're part of who I am. But the things that are most important to me and most exciting to me involve the work that I've done in the last 5 years or so. When the pandemic came around, I decided that I was of the age where I was supposed to be having the best career of my life, and all of a sudden, it was very difficult to even consider singing around people again. I always hoped there'd be an end in sight, and now, of course, we are back to performing live, and we have been for a number of years. And it's been very exciting to be back on a stage, especially when I'm creating new music.
My old-time friend, you're the
But at that time, I decided I needed to do whatever it took to make sure that my art stayed alive. And so I became a librettist of my own volition, and I created 2 libretti within a year. I became much more of a poet than I had ever been, although I always wrote. And I started composing through guidance from mentors and friends. And then I started getting commissions. And with all of this, the things that have stuck out the most and become the most important in my life are arts advocacy in both feminist works and works that promote First Americans people, particularly my own tribe, the Muskogee Nation. So when I talk about what I love and what I've been doing, I've had amazing, wonderful success in my career, although sometimes it's been an uphill battle. But the things that are most exciting to me are the things that have had a personal connection to me. I've had wonderful opportunities. I've sung at Carnegie Hall and Kennedy Center. I have traveled abroad and done an access recording in Bulgaria, and I've created my own opera company with a friend and colleague that has thrived for nearly 10 years. And those are all extremely important to my life. And they are things that I am holding dear to me as I continue my journey as a singer and as a mentor and as an arts advocate. And I hope that the next 5 to 10 years will be more opportunities to grow, to speak and sing the words of people that are important to me, including my own, and that I'm able to continue this path of being someone who is making a difference in the field of classical music. I'm a soprano. I sing the most beautiful music in the world, some of which is being created right now. And that's a very, very exciting place to be in my life. If you want to know more about me, you can always find out more on my website or online. But that is at the crux of what is important in my life and what I'm doing right now.
it was my eyes and great
we find goodness? That's a very big question. I think it's important to realize that there's goodness around us all the time. At all times, we can probably find it. We can find people who are intentionally trying to be good, trying to be kind, trying to be helpful. But I also think sometimes it's very easy to get overwhelmed in the world that we live in, where the news that we see is almost always bad, and it's very easy to find fault in other people. We all do it, and we are all part of the world that we live in. We are conditioned by our societies, and we have to make a genuine effort every day to try to be good. So what is goodness? That's very debatable. Is it just being right? Is it being kind? Is it being something beyond the norm? Or is it just being friendly? Is it being helpful? Is it being available to other people when they need it? I would argue that goodness is, in essence, treating people the way you want to be treated. It is, in essence, the golden rule. If you treat people the way you would like to be treated, you're already halfway there. You're already halfway to understanding other people. So I think at the crux of all of it is understanding and communication. It is so easy to just say to someone about anyone, well, they're just different. They just don't understand. They're wrong. They couldn't understand what it's like to be me. And I think because goodness is important in the world, I think it takes effort for someone to say, we disagree, but let's have a communication about that, an open communication. Let's have a conversation so that we can perhaps get on the same page. And maybe we won't agree entirely, but if someone were saying those things about me that I wouldn't understand, that I'm not a nice person or whatever it is, I would welcome a conversation about it before being ostracized. So I think that if we make the effort to try to be people that are understanding, that are open, that are willing to have conversations and grow, and even sometimes agree to disagree, I think that that makes everything better. And in essence, that makes everything good. It's a choice to be good. It's the harder choice often, but it's also the more important choice. I often say that I can tell what kind of a person they are by the way they treat small children and animals. And that's a generalization, of course. But if someone is kind and generous to those two things, children and animals, they're likely to be good and kind to other people as well. So when you search for goodness, I think the best way to do it is to lead by example and be good yourself. And make that decision every day to take small steps to become a better person wherever you are in your path in life. Because we're all human, and it's always difficult to sometimes make the right or the best choice, especially when it's not the popular choice. So I think that's what I personally try to do. I try to reach out to people in the ways that I would want to be treated so that I can learn and grow and also mentor and guide.
Now is the time we can amend, sharing needs are divide, reclaim
as ye sow, so shall ye reap. I think in the grand scheme of things, there are always situations where people do not deserve what happens to them. There are people that are unfortunately born into situations that are more difficult, where they've had to work harder in life, or they've been mistreated, or treated badly by governments, or treated badly by those around them, through no fault of their own. That being said, in the grand scheme of things for which we have control, I think that it is true in many ways that what we put forth out into the world, we do receive back. I happen to be in a field where it is incredibly difficult to be successful, especially if you want to be successful and balance your life in other ways. I always wanted to be a classical singer. That has always been something I wanted to do, that was important to me. And when I was younger, I didn't think I was going to be able to get married, have a family, have a house, live in a nice area around my family. I thought I would have to live in a more urban setting. And through many hoops and circumstances, I'm able to do those things. But a lot of it has been because I've sacrificed certain things, or I've made decisions that will lead me to that place. In the grand scheme of things, it is very hard to be successful as a classical musician. But when you work very diligently, and you do it with the tenacity that is required, and you don't just luck into things, you will find that success often begets other success. And in every field I have seen, every single field, opportunities exist because of tenacity and because of who you know, and how you are willing to get to know those people who have those opportunities for you. I've created many opportunities for myself and also for other people. And that's been something that's been really important to me, and something that's also been very exciting for me to be able to give opportunities to other people. But it was never a straightforward path for me. I think that when you are willing to do the work, whatever the work may be for what you choose to do, you will find a modicum of success. And it may not happen in the way that you expect. The most successful and exciting and wonderful things that have happened in my life have happened because I've taken risks, calculated risks, that I thought I might be able to succeed. And the risk of failure was higher than what I was comfortable doing. But I tried it anyway. And that's when I've been most successful, knowing that I could fall, but being willing to pick myself back up and try again, and again, and again. And I think that whether you are making good decisions or bad decisions, it will indeed reflect in what happens to you next. How you treat people matters. How you treat yourself matters. And in the grand scheme of life, if you make the decisions to have good, healthy, conscious effort, it will pay off. It may not pay off in the way that you expect, but it will pay off eventually. And that in and of itself is worth it. So do we reap what we sow? I would say so. Blessed are the peacemakers. What is it that makes peace important in the world? I think peace is very hard to come by. I think peace is one of those things that exists on occasion and is often on the edge of eruption. I've always been someone who wanted balance in my life. Balance has always been extremely important to me. When I'm in a group of people, I like things to be calm and I like things to be peaceful. I like to keep my drama on stage. But I also realize that many people feel very strongly about their convictions. And that's actually a very good thing. The problem we run into is that people often feel so strongly about their convictions they're not willing to listen to what other people have to say. I'm at fault with this as well. I think almost everyone is. It takes a very strong person to be as open-minded as what we need to have continual peace. But that being said, I think that in a world where we can find peace, where we can find coexistence, where we can find understanding, everything operates better. Everything is smoother and it's more connected, and communication is easy. And I think people are often scared to let down their own walls and be vulnerable enough to let that happen. Because people are judgmental and people are oftentimes cruel. So finding peace is sometimes very difficult. But if we can find ways to negotiate our differences, to be willing to compromise on certain things, to be able to have the conversations that are needed to bring forth a modicum of peace, everything becomes better. And I believe that that starts on an individual level. If people are willing to make decisions, to have conversations with people that may not be exactly like them, that come from different backgrounds, that come from different religions or cultures, then automatically it opens doors. Having cultures meet and agree that their individual cultures can exist within the realm of a peaceful solution, then we can start to have peace. But it has to happen small, and it has to happen individually. And I believe, just like I do with my own field, where education has to start, it has to start with youth. If we focus on peaceful relations with youth, we can focus on bringing that up through the next generations. I believe that with arts education. I'm in a field where people often find opera to be elitist, and it doesn't have to be. In fact, most opera singers I know don't want it to be. We want it to be accessible to everyone. And the way we do that is by educating the youth, and by proxy educating their families, and educating the people who surround our youth every day so that they can take away those barriers. In the end, it's all about barriers and removing barriers. So peace is important because that's the ideal. That's the ultimate. And it starts with each of us making that conscious decision every day to be calm, collected, and find a place where we can all meet.
We're the ones who lived, we're the ones who tell the stories of those who lost their heads, who lost their lives.
What does it mean to be an environmentalist today? Like everything else, there are so many levels. I've never considered myself to be an environmentalist per se. That being said, I think it is extremely important to be aware of our environment and how we are impacting it. I think most people of my generation and younger are very aware of what we are doing to the earth as humans on a daily basis. I think people are aware of things like carbon footprints and pollutants and just making sure that we are not making things worse than how we found an environment that we come into. I don't think it's enough to not make things worse. As someone who's a citizen of the Muskogee Nation, I think it's very important that we honor our land and that we realize that the land gives to us. As humans, we often take from the land and we don't give it back. We don't give back to the land. I think environmental issues that have arisen in the 20th and 21st centuries are profound because in a very short period of time, we've done a lot of damage. When I was first starting to compose, I had my first commission, and it was for the 150th anniversary of Yellowstone National Park. And I had free rein to write whatever I wanted for an art song about Yellowstone. But the piece itself is called Reclaim the Land. And while at first that might sound like a land back movement type song, and in some ways it definitely could be considered to be one, it was much more about sharing the earth, to become part of the landscape that we once shared so beautifully. Again. So when someone asks me my opinions on the environment, I think do no harm is the bare minimum. Do whatever we can to give back to the land that gives us so much, in whatever ways we can. And I think that goes right along hand in hand with good. Being good. Part of that is being good to the earth. Part of that is focusing on leaving this earth in a better place for the next generations than it was given to us. And that is, at its very core, the essence of being good.